I'm making a video on how to take my 1940 Zenith AM shortwave radio apart, take the chassis out, take out the speaker, and refinish it. I've already done a coat of polyurethane after sanding it. Now I'm going to sand it a little more and put some more polyurethane, but I'm going to show you how the steps to doing this if you ever have to do this yourself. I'm going to start by taking off the knobs, and the on-off knob just pulls straight out. And these knobs here, the selector knob and the tuning knob, I've got to use a small screwdriver to take those out. And that comes off very easily. And the tuning knob. Okay, now I'm going to remove the face plate, and there's 6 screws. I'm going to take them. You got to be very careful so you don't scratch everything up. Little brass screws. Now these are the original screws. They're kind of a round head. Very small. A couple of them have been lost. I'm going to try to replace those with some screws that are as close to as alike as possible. Okay, now we got that. Okay, now I got that face plate pulled out, and there's the push buttons for the stations, the presets, and I'm going to pull that out. It's held together, it's just a piece of leather or cloth or felt. These are the buttons. Put them away carefully. This is the bass switch, which increases the bass when you pull it out. Push it in and it reduces the bass. And this is the treble, and I got to get a new knob for that. It's on the way. So to take these off, we just need to take these little, looks like 5/16, but they have a flat. You can get a flathead screwdriver and remove those, so that's what I'm going to do. Be careful so you don't break the wires. I've already had to solder this one here and this one over here because the wires came off there. So you got to be very careful. So very carefully remove these 2 screws holding this switch in. Needless to say, you always have this radio is unplugged. You don't want to be working with it with it being live, having 120 volts going to it. Okay, now I've got the switches removed, and there's the face plate. Put this aside. And now we're going to turn it around and take off the back. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 screws on this one. Should be 5. I got to replace that one. Okay, now I'm going to take the back off. You have to be very careful because the antenna is attached to it. The wave magnet. Okay, now it's got all these wires over here going to the antenna, and it's got a little plug down here. So we got to very carefully remove that plug. I'm going to use a screwdriver to gently pry it. Just to get it started. And there we go. That's unplugged. It goes in just like so. And put this somewhere where it won't get hurt. And this one you might have to pry also a little bit, but this one I've removed already a couple times. So just grab it and gently pull it out. There we go. Okay, this is the bottom of the radio, and we've got a screw here, 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 and here holding the tube chassis. So I'm going to remove those and carefully support the chassis, which is right there, so that it doesn't fall and I don't destroy any tubes or any wiring. Obviously, you'd be very careful pulling the chassis out. And there's our chassis. There's our lights up here. The lights there. And our tubes, transformer. Okay, now I'm going to remove the speaker. It's got two screws, one here, and to be very careful with this is a heat shield at the top of the radio. Probably has asbestos in it, so you don't want to disturb it. You just want to not even touch it, just leave it alone. Now I'm going to remove the speaker. I've taken the 5/16 nuts out. Carefully remove this. And there's our 1940 speaker. Okay, so this speaker grill cover, it had a bunch of staples that were holding it in, so you just gently pry them off all the way around, and then you can gently, carefully lift it out. And there it is. You can see how old it is, how the sun faded it is where it was exposed. That was the original color that was protected down at the bottom there, and that's how faded it got with age. So now it's pretty much an empty shell. Okay, so there's one more thing to take out. If you're going to refinish it, the speaker's screws had those 5/16 nuts on the inside also, so you take those out and then you remove them. The screws, here's the top screw, and there's the bottom one there. And you just tap it gently and then unscrew it the rest of the way to get those studs out. Okay, so we're sanding this down with some 220 really fine sandpaper to get all the brush strokes out and anything else that might be bad. And we're going to put some more polyurethane in it after we clean it up. And make sure you don't shake the polyurethane up, because you'll get little bubbles in it. You don't want bubbles. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so after we sand it all, we want to clean it all up with some mineral spirits, and so clean rag with some mineral spirits on it, and just get all of that cleaned up, ready for our polyurethane. The finish is done now. I just applied the polyurethane and it turned out really nice. You can see the surface looks very nice and even. Use a really good brush. Don't skimp on the type of brush that you use. Use the best. And that's it.